back in 5, 4.
Well, it's a big 2 weeks of football over at Tom Benson Stadium. He spent some more time with Russ Urich and Steve Alec from USA Football. And the United States football team, a young group of athletes, and the head football coach, Dan Hawkins, former head coach at Colorado and Boise State. I guess he did a pretty good recruiting job bringing these kids in. I guess they are kids. They're college graduates, but they're all probably 22, 23 years old. Tell us how this team was selected.
Yeah, you're right on, Joe. This is a talented group of players spanning a number of divisions across college football. And credit Coach Hawkins with his deep roots and network within college football, calling up coaches and describing the type of player he's looking for. And often what we hear is, this kid's going to be a captain. You're going to love this kid. And that's really the type of player we're looking for. Obviously, they're all wonderful athletes and gifted. But to play for the United States, it's that the character and leadership. So Coach Hawkins essentially has gathered 45 captains, guys made of the right stuff, who will wear the red, white, and blue and USA on their helmets over the next 2 weeks.
Russ, my young friend, let's talk now about game day. You are the director of events for USA Football. Now, when it comes down to when that clock ticks closer and closer, Thursday, okay, 11:51, we get close to the kickoff of the first game, okay, you start getting a little bit tense. You start thinking, wow, is everything in place? Is everything going to come off just like we planned? Now, how does that go with Russ here? Because I happen to think that you have the biggest job this whole next week and a half here in Stark County, Ohio, because you're responsible for everything that happens at that stadium, are you not?
I am, but I've got a great team, and we put a lot of hard work in over the last few months, and honestly, as the clock ticks down, I become more and more relaxed. Once the ball's in the air, everything that we've worked for is happening. Now, there are a lot of balls in the air, 3 games per day,
right?
So I've got 1 game going on, I'm getting ready for 2 more. I've still got teams back at Walsh that are practicing, meeting, having meals, and make sure they get on the bus. So there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of balls in the air, but we'll get it done.
How many people, Russ, does it take to properly manage an event this big, and when did you start working on this? Because this is not a project that you can just throw together overnight.
Correct. The event was originally scheduled for Stockholm, Sweden, and USA Football took over the planning of that in early February. So since then, we've really been going, pedal to the metal, getting ready for this tournament. Primarily, it's myself and one of my staff members, Brent Dornbos, has been monopolizing our time since February, doing a lot of the planning along with Steve and Joe, and support from other folks in the office.
Teams coming in from 7 different countries. I know the Stark County Convention and Visitors Bureau anxious to see how many people come in, let's say from Brazil and Mexico. Any feel for how many people will be coming in to support their various teams during the next week and a half?
I think we're going to have a good representation from all the friends and family. We've gotten a lot of interest on where can I stay, where should I go to eat, things like that. So I think the folks around Stark County are going to have a little international flavor out and about around town over the next 10 days or so, and I think everyone's going to have a really good time.
The one thing you emphasized on the radio show today is that the players from these other countries are veteran players, a little bit older than the USA, and I'm sure the USA taken into consideration as Coach Hawkins gets ready to play.
Yeah, absolutely. What they may lack in a little bit of talent, they definitely have an experience. As we talked about earlier, players in their 30s up to their 40s. And I think there's just maturity that comes along with that. That can really kind of be a game changer, especially if you find yourself in a tight game. The air might get a little thin. Be that careful.
Any feel for what kind of football these teams play? Is it pretty wide open? Is it ball control? What do they like to do? Is it different from each team, I guess?
It really differs from each team. We saw a little bit of practice today. Some no running back sets, bubble screens, things like that. I don't think they were revealing too much. I think they were a little nervous about who might be watching. Practice fields are close together, but you're going to see some good football.
And one thing I'll add to that, Joe, Team Japan is especially very well known for running the spread offense.
Really?
And they give up a few pounds per man, but they're technically sound. They're fast. They're very good in terms of deception with the ball, play action, reverses. So you're going to see some really exciting football, especially from Team Japan. They make up for any lack of size with skillful movement of the ball and quick movement, and yeah, they got their angles and really fundamentally sound. They're fun to watch.
Where have most of these teams over the years got their football knowledge? America's the birthplace of football. Who have they studied? Who are some of the coaches they have modeled their programs over? Is there 2 or 3 people they say, yeah, that's who we like to look at game film, that's the guys we like to read their books?
Well, I know, speaking of Japan, the game started taking root there in the 1930s
Really?
from US GIs, as a
Wow.
matter of fact.
Okay.
So the Japanese Federation of American Football has, in fact, I believe they're in their 77th
Really?
year now, as a
Wow.
matter of fact. Certainly Mexico has been playing the
Yeah.
game for a long time. Europe, I think, really took off in the 70s and 80s as NFL games became broadcast more overseas. So it'll vary by country, but now, we shouldn't be surprised. We know how this game captures our imagination, unlike pretty much any other. And so to see that passion in other countries around the world, I mean, why wouldn't
Yeah.
it capture that in other nations?
Exactly.
So and to have it come here in Canton and me as a native, where growing up as a second grader in grade school, and I remember still we took a field trip to the Hall of Fame. And where do 7-year-olds go for their school field trip? To the football museum.
Right.
So it's ingrained in us, and it's neat to see that shared. And I know all the teams are going to be going through the Hall of Fame, and that'll be a great highlight for them all.
I'll tell you what, we're all getting ready for a week and a half, 2 weeks of football at Tom Benson Stadium. We're back to talk more football right after this.